So today I want to talk a little bit about what I call partials, and they can be many different ways to doing it. And some people describe it as a double stop because I'm playing two notes at once. I think of double stops often like or that kind of double stop, country and all that. But actually, in this case, I'm in the key of E. And I'm going to show you some ways to get from the E to the A to the B, which is a 1, 4, 5, obviously. And because a lot of times, if you're playing a jam or you're just sitting in playing some blues with somebody, if they're doing an E string, an E chord, open E chord, just first position. One way to approach that would be to slide up to the 4th fret on the G string with your 3rd finger. This is what I do anyway, and then catch the 4th fret, of the high E string with your 3rd finger. And so then you're basically voicing. Now what that essentially is, those notes are contained in the E chord. You got a B and a G sharp. But what's nice about knowing that position, and I do call it a partial because it's a part of the E chord. So if you look at an E chord, and I'm getting too technical because I don't get into all that shit, but this is an E chord here, 2nd position. But if you just break down these two notes, get rid of that. If you break down these two notes, you got a part of an E chord. And then the same goes for an A chord. If I hit the open A string, and I take part of this A chord, just the G and the high E string. In this case, you're the 6th fret of the G with your 2nd finger, and you're picking up that A note, which is the 5 of the 5th fret of the high E. You're voicing a partial of the A chord. Does that make sense to you? I don't know. But if you put those two together, it sounds like this. And I hit an A chord. And the same applies. Climb up 3 frets. Part of the B chord, right? You see how that. So you're utilizing the G string and that high E string, and in this case you're at the 8th fret of the G and the 7th fret of the high E, and move it on down to the A position I just showed you, and then to the. So in essence, what's happening is if someone's playing, like you're playing with somebody and they're playing a rhythm, like an E and then to an A chord, and maybe a B chord, common progression to an A. Then and back to E. You have an example of where you, as a 2nd guitar player, could embellish that by going. You've heard that before. Then to the A. And then go up 3 frets. There's your B, your 5, back to the A, and back to that E position. And if you move that down 2 frets, and then just voice an E chord, we've all heard that little climb. So that's just I'm always trying to think of ways I can share something with you guys, shed a little light on it, of how to, if you're playing with another player, like a couple of acoustic guitars or whatever, how do you as a 2nd guitar player embellish what the rhythm guy's doing? If a rhythm guy is just playing a steady rhythm, and we hear that in a lot of songs, to a B7th. That's great. A little sus chord. That's fine. But how do you embellish that? 4 chord, A. Move it up. There's your 5, your B chord. Back to the A. And then maybe do this lick. Heard the blues, that's like a chromatic walk down. But in this case, I think we're speaking more of maybe singer-songwriter kind of Americana stuff. So there you have some tools to use in the key of E, which is always a fun key because, you know, for guitar, it's a guitar key. A lot of rock and roll, a lot of great songs on E. But, you know, you could use that same methodology can be used, and I'll show you later how to do it. An example would be if I'm in the key of G, right? I can do the same move by moving from this G, from the up to here. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I'm going to break that down in another lesson on how we can move this sort of sensibility of doing these partials. And just by pinching the G string and the E string, you can get some great sounds. You know, you've heard that in Dillon songs, Brown Eyed Girl. And then you can do, which is the same exact move in the key of A. So I'm jumping up. That's an A position. But without getting too complicated, I want to stay in E for now, but just know that you can use what I just showed you and be playing in the key of A, you know, of E, and hit an E, A, B. So your E is here, your A is here, your B is here, back to A. It's very lyrical. So there's just kind of a hit it and quit it lesson, and hopefully you can use that right away. You know, I'm trying to give you guys tools that you can use and have fun with right away. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions or comments, hit me up at jimmydillon.com. Love to hear from you. I'm just putting this stuff out there for the love of it. You know, I enjoy doing this, and I like to share my knowledge and my experience with you. But, you know, I ask myself every day, what can I think of to share with folks, you know, that would make their guitar playing more fun, and you know, not so much to be fancy or any of that, but just to have more fun with the instrument, because I just love playing guitar so much. So wherever you are, I hope you're playing your guitar and having a good day. We'll see you down the road.